okay, and he gets out of me, I should know that right away, and now I need to retrace and chase that guard, because he's going to take me right to the play. You guys do that drill at all? Defensive line screen drill, right? Pass set, bull rush him. He goes here, and he goes downfield. You got something right away, and that defensive tackle should be saying screen, 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 screen. Okay? Again, they don't always do it. Okay? But now you should see it, and they should retrace and go catch it. Because that guard or the center, whatever the case may be, based on what screen they like to run, should take me right to the play. So in this case, when you see this tackle right here, when he comes in here, he should be running right to where the ball is going to go. Okay, same thing on this side. Okay, the most common thing that you'll see is you'll see this tailback go this way, and all of a sudden, if these guys are worried about the screen, sometimes you get both these guys going over here. Well, why the hell would this tackle be going over there when his guard's going here? Well, I don't know. Because they're 22-year-old football players, I guess. I don't know. But sometimes it happens. Okay? Okay, nothing changes over here. Okay, again, this is all about, defeating blocks, doing what you need to do, whether you're in a man or zone scheme. When they run the tunnel, okay, what I call tunnel, people call different things. Make sure that you're teaching those tackles to be able to retrace their steps and chase that guard that they're supposed to be bull rushing. Let's take a look at a couple here. Okay, this is out of basically a three-man front look. They're going to run the tunnel. Now watch what happens. Okay, he comes up inside. We're playing a little softer coverage. Now watch what. Here's my guy. There's my defensive lineman. Look at him. He's chasing the offensive lineman. Where does he go? Right to the ball. Okay, they get a few yards on it. 8 yards, big deal. 2nd and 16. I'm okay with giving up 8 on 2nd and 16. Not a big deal. But then there it is. He's going right to the football. He sees it, and he's able to make the play. Could have been a little bit better job on the tackle, but the key point there is we're recognizing the screen. That's the guard. He sees him, chases him back, and it brings him right to the football. It'll bring you to the football every time if you trust it and see it. Okay, that's the best case scenario. Again, we're on a three-man front here. And again, 22 is a good football player. They don't block this correctly. But again, see it and fire. Play fast and leverage the football. But look at him. Probably should be tighter to him, but he sees it late, and he's able to help out and get back in the game. But again, he didn't see it as fast as he should have. A little bit tougher on the nose guard. But again, the same concept is the same. But he does realize it, and now he's hustling and retracing it. 22, again, just fires. Now the one thing I want you guys to see is he's not breaking down. He's got great leverage. He's tackling where we want him to tackle. Again, that kid right there is 5'7", 150 pounds, but he can run pretty fast. And so again, that's where he should be hitting the guy when he tackles. Again, when you're teaching tackle stuff, that's the same scenario. Find out what we're good at. This guy should never be taking a guy up high and cutting him down. But again, the key to that is seeing it and firing and retracing your steps from the defensive tackle standpoint. Here's a look at it from a blitzing technique. Now we're blitzing. A little bit tougher for the tackles to see it when we're blitzing. So everybody's coming. Okay, now we're blitzing. They got us, but again, how does the linebacker react to it? This is a good play by the linebacker. We don't see this very good here, but watch him. In space, keep leverage, miss the block, and now he's able to make the play. Okay, does a good job of keeping leverage, doesn't make a great tackle, but he's able to leverage the football, and then now he can clean it up, and it's not a huge play. But again, a good screen play sometimes is tough to handle. Okay, again, good job retracing. Watch this defensive lineman, sees it right away, chases where it's going to go, and there he goes. Another good thing about this is we talked about 47 on kickoff coverage. Here he is playing a little third down defense. He gets it, and he's firing and going hard. Now, with him attacking like that, look at what that guy has to do. He has to turn his back, retrace, go back there. Again, that's a tough block. We're making him retrace in order he's not getting upfield right away, and now everybody can rally and get to the football. Okay? So again, you got to play fast, and you got to go. Keep leverage. Good job here. Nice retrace by the defensive lineman. And then this is our Mike Backer again. That's the guy we talked about, right? Is he going to be able to get off a block and get to a play? Let's see how he does. Does a good job. 2 guys try to block him. He slips it, and he's in there making the play. And we're back to the front. I think that's all the time we got. So again, guys, real quick, again, you should have any play you want to play against. It should be structured in your base techniques of your defense on how to pretty much cover everything. You don't want to get to Tuesday or whenever you guys start practicing and say, well, these guys are really good at that, and you change everything that you do to try to stop one play. It's probably not gonna be a good game for you if you spend all that time trying to stop one play. But if you know you play a good fundamental gap sound defense and you know what you do best and try to match up to what they do, you'll be okay. Tunnel screen, make sure you practice it. You got to practice that with the defensive line. And then anytime you're working on a block drill, disengage, engage. Obviously learn how to engage first and then disengage. I go back to what I first said the very first time we did it. Every single position works on that, and they do the same stuff and how we do it. But again, leverage the football on defense. Doesn't matter how you line up. Leverage the damn thing and get to the football, and don't stop and play fast. All right, any other questions? Again, come up and talk to me if you guys have anything individual. Thanks, guys. I guess it's about that time. I've been asked to talk about defending the wide receiver screen, and it seems like even in the talks I hear around here, it seems like you guys get this kind of action a lot here.
Shit ton.
Shit ton is it, huh? Okay. Full disclosure, we got a lot of this when we first started. We were playing a lot more zone defense, of course. It's kind of set up more towards zone. The more man that we played, the less we get of it, especially the bubble. But again, there's different ways to do it. Just real quick, anytime you think about defense and you're talking about stopping a specific play, okay? Now it could be the inside zone play, it could be the power play, it could be the vertical stretch game, it could be all those different kind of plays. My guess is that when you're running a certain type of defense, which is your base defense, you should have fundamentals in those in your base defense that should be able to handle just about every play you make or you go against. Okay, obviously some calls are a little bit better than others, but most of the time you're just kind of building on what you've been teaching them anyways. Okay, so for instance, if I'm really worried about a wide receiver screen play, hopefully I've been working on teaching perimeter guys how to get off blocks, right? I mean, period. I mean, you're going to get blocked at that point, right? So hopefully I've been working on all that, okay? Because you can't make up for not being able to get off a block playing defensive football. You can't do it, okay? There's no magic wand you can wave and say, well, if I do this, I can cover the screen play, okay? Of course, you could take this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy and throw them over here, but then what the hell is the team going to do, right? So in reality, you're going to give yourself a little bit of a numbers advantage at some point, but again, don't compromise everything that you've been doing defensively just necessarily to stop one play, okay? Make sure that the fundamentals are in your defense, in terms of how to manage most of what you're going to see. There's only so many things they can do to you offensively to really stress you out. Ultimately, sometimes it comes down to who has the best players, but really, your base defense should be able to handle a lot of what you're doing. But now I digress. When we get back into talking about defending a specific play, and I don't care what it is, it could be the speed option play, it could be triple option, it could be whatever. When you're trying to figure out how you're going to stop the play, these are the 3 questions that I kind of ask myself. If I'm thinking, if we're going into a game, and I know if I stop number 84 or whatever, right? Okay, you guys are Vikings fans. Back in the day, number 84 was Randy Moss, right? I mean, every team did everything in the world they could do, and the reality is you probably couldn't stop him anyways, no matter what you did. But if I'm going to go into a game, and I think Bill Belichick's probably the guy everybody talks about, the New England Patriots coach, about really saying, I'm going to stop the thing that they do and make them do something else. Okay, so if that's something that you guys want to do as a defensive philosophy, which makes sense, it's a good idea. To say, you know what, their best thing is the wide receiver screen. That's what we're talking about today. So if that's the case, no matter what the play is, in this case it's the wide receiver screen, I'm going to ask myself is who's their best player. Now in this case we're saying probably their best player is whoever they want to screen the ball to. You guys probably play with some imports, right? American or whatever, right? Doesn't always have to be an American, but typically that's probably the case is over here, right? And all of a sudden it's the receiver, and he's their best player, and they're going to get the ball in his hands as much as they want. Is that pretty standard, right? Okay, whether he's a running back, whether he's a quarterback, whether he's a wide receiver. So if that's the case, who's their best player? Then I got to find out who my best player is. How do I get my best player in that position? Okay. And again, your best player may be a defensive lineman, so in the wide receiver screen play, you're kind of screwed, right? So now you got to figure out what you want to do and how to help it. The easiest way to stop a wide receiver screen is just saying, you know what, this is their best player, this is my best player, good luck. I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. Now, it could be that easy, but it may not be. But again, that's what I try to do, is figure out what's my best player versus what their best player. And you could take player out of that and put play. What's their best play? What's my best play against that? Those kind of things, just in general. Okay, again, I am a type of guy that I don't want to compromise my ability to stop the run. So I'm always going to ask myself too, just because they like to throw the ball out there, I don't want to compromise everything else that I do. I want to make sure I can stop the run game. Okay, so for instance, in this particular case, I got drawn up the typical RPO inside zone play, right? Okay, I imagine this is kind of what you guys are thinking about, right? We're getting the RPO, we're getting the inside zone, we're tossing it out there 8 different ways, however they want to do it, right? Well, if that's the case, if the quarterback and tailback are pretty darn good, you can't just say, I'm double teaming the guy out there, right? Because then they're going to gash you up inside. So you got to make sure that if these guys are decent enough, and you can't handle them with just these front 4, right? Or maybe a 5-man box. You guys know what I mean by a 5-man box, right? And all I have in there, I got that in my hand in it. And I don't have, and I need to keep him in here or tighter in here. That means me a little bit receptible to that. But again, I would take my chances and bring an extra guy out there. But I still got to decide on how I'm going to stop the run, okay, based on what they're going to do. And if the team's throwing the ball 80 times a game, they're not running the ball, then obviously you're not too worried about it. But you got to obviously understand that. And then second of all, I'm going to look at my scheme. And again, of course, it's got to fit the scheme that you practice, guys. It just has to fit. Because you guys only get 2 days of practice a week and you're playing games and all this other stuff. If you show up on a Tuesday and say, hey, we're playing a team that's going to kill us on the wide receiver screen, and you decide to throw in a new defense, I mean, I don't know, maybe you guys are better than I am, but that could be pretty tough, in my opinion. Just to try to draw it up on the dirt. The truth is, if I want to do something completely different come game time, a lot of times I won't even wait to do it until it's an adjustment on the sidelines. Because I don't want the guys thinking about all the crap anyways. So, that's the truth is. So, anyway, so understand what your scheme is. If you're a man-to-man team, some simple things you can do against the screenplay, like I basically say, try to get your best player in the best position. If you're a zone team, then you got to figure out how you're going to get leverage, what I call leverage, to the screenplay without completely compromising what you do inside, but you also want to have extra guys in there. Does that kind of make sense? And I think you guys can use those 3 questions basically on any play you're trying to stop. If there is one specific play that a team does, you're saying you need to stop it. For instance, we went into the last game of the year this year against kind of our arch rival, a close town rival, a close town for us anyway, maybe not as close for you guys, but they were close. And they were a really good perimeter run team. They were a really good stretch zone team. So we made sure then that whatever we did, we were going to make sure that we got that outside stretch play cut up inside as quickly as possible. So we were really, really working hard, slanting our front, because we could kind of tell which way they were going, making sure we could get that sucker cut up inside. And again, it worked out good for us. We didn't have to change a lot, just kind of changed a little bit, slanted a little bit, we practiced a little bit, but didn't completely change what we did and had good success against their zone play. Again, otherwise, a lot of teams, you're not looking at one specific play. Okay, so let's talk about the different type of screens you can have, because each screen is a little bit different. What I call a rocket screen, guys, is that's just that jailbreak, right? They're just going to catch it and throw it out there. Now, we get a lot of this. Now, why do we get a lot of this? Because we're a press man team. So if their best guy is a slot, I'm taking 22, which is our best player, and I'm putting them there, the bubble's done. Okay, you can't throw a bubble against press coverage. You just can't do it. So that takes care of the bubble. So if they're a bubble team, you think you got a guy that's good enough to play here, and it's not going to completely kill you, that's an easy solution. Throw your best corner on the inside guy, and play him that way. If you can do that, again, not everybody can do that. Now, if you're going to play more zone, but this is a man, same kind of thing, now you got the bubble, which is a traditional bubble. We all know what those are, right? So that's what, in terms of the quick screens, that's what you can get out of a 2x2. Understand what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. Again, for us, the rocket, what I call rocket, you guys may call it jailbreak, quick screen, whatever you call it, doesn't matter, same damn thing, and then you got the bubble. Okay, so those are the type of screens you're going to get out of that. And again, I'll talk a little bit more about what to do against it. And then now I'm going to draw up something. It seems like you guys get a lot of zone looks here. So here's the situation here. You're going to get a 3x1, and they're going to block it like this. Okay, again, provided this guy is their best player or whatever, that's what they're trying to do, trying to get the big receiver out there, the ball in his hands, and they're going to block it that way. And that's what you consider a rocket. Again, out of a 3-man zone look with an inside zone look inside, you may or may not get that. Now, again, look at what happens up here. Now, all of a sudden, they got 3 guys to once. Now, how many of you guys put 3 over 3? You guys understand what I mean? You're going 3 over 3 over here, right? Again, you got this guy, and that guy basically out there. You got 2 blockers, you got a ball carrier, you know, that's what you got. Okay, how many of you guys usually do 3 over 3? Okay, you're going to take your chances with 3 over 3. Okay, fine. So that way you feel like you're pretty good, and you think you'd be in pretty good shape. Now you could take, okay, again, this is a lot of times what we do because we feel pretty good with our personnel on the perimeter. You could also take this guy, right, and now you can get 4 over 3, squeeze him in a little bit. Now when you're going to kind of get a little bit more one-on-one on this side, now you got 4 over 3. Chances are teams aren't going to throw it over there. Okay, they got really good numbers to you, and now you got this guy out of the box. You can play him wherever you want, but then again, you don't have so much help on the single receiver side, do you? So now they could isolate you on the backside. So you just got to kind of look and see what do you think I can get out of it, and how am I going to move my coverage to it. And again, you could easily play zone, and from this standpoint, I have it drawn up like we're playing zone. And again, you could be cover 4, cover 2, whatever. Most of the times, guys, if you're a cover 2 team, I heard a lot of guys talking about cover 2. If you're getting trips, you just stay in it and play cover 2, meaning you got 2 guys over 1 on this side. This safety now becomes a true half-field player. So now he's there. And then you may bump this guy over a little bit to the 3, right? And you're playing true cover 2. Okay, that's one thing you could do. Again, if you do that, again, you're probably not as good against number 3 going vertical. Or you can roll your coverage now, and you can put these guys over here and squeeze him in a little bit. So now, again, you're probably better against the bubble here, right? Now you got more guys over there, but again, you're a little less over here. Again, but I mean, that's the decisions you need to make, correct? I mean, again, I'm telling you guys, there's no magic thing here. There's only so many guys you can throw out there. We're not in Canada, right? Try to sneak an extra guy out there, but you can't. That's who you got. So you got to kind of decide what you think's your best case scenario in that, and again, you know, and work through that. The other thing you can get, here's the true bubble. Again, I have it drawn up basically in the zone defense here. One thing I would always tell you guys is that you should leverage the 1, 2, and the 3 outside receivers. You guys understand what I mean about leverage? Like, you don't want to leave a guy necessarily uncovered out there unless they're never going to throw it to the guy. So what we do, okay, is either we're just going to man up these guys and press them up, right? We got these 3 guys covered. If we're playing zone, we're going to leverage 1, 2, and then pull a guy a little bit out of the box so he can help him on the quick one. What I mean by that is, basically what we're saying is this guy's over the top of 3, the Mike or the monster, whatever you want to, we call him monster, you guys can call him middleback or whatever. He's got to leverage 3 on the quick one, and you're getting kind of a guy and a half out there, right? So if I draw it up like this, you kind of got 3.5 out there, and now you could be okay on the bubble. When teams are running bubble, I don't know about you guys, but they're really trying to get to the edge, right? Okay, most teams running the bubble here are just trying to get this sucker down the sideline, trying to get 6, 7 yards, and that's a pretty good play for them. Because all the bubble is a perimeter run play. That's all it is. Teams don't want to run it, they're going to perimeter it and throw it out here. So now he's just trying to get out to the corner, and again, how are you going to leverage your corner? Most of the time, if you're a zone team out there, the corner is probably going to be a contained player, correct? So now, how good is your corner? Right here. How good is he? If that's my best player, and I know they can't block me, I'm putting him out there, especially the trip side. So a lot of guys are field boundary teams, right? So you got a boundary corner, you got a field corner. You know, a lot of times I'll stick my boundary corner out here, and hopefully he's a good man-to-man guy, and he can handle that on himself over there. If not, I can pull the backer out there, possibly roll the safety over, whatever. But in terms of playing the bubble game, playing the screen game, I'm telling you right now, this guy and this guy should be your two best guys. Okay? Again, your field player and your corner player should be the best guy in space to be getting off blocks and making plays. Teams are throwing screens to the field 90% of the time. Again, if the ball's in the middle of the field, which happens, what, 5% of the game? Right, the ball's never in the middle of the field. The ball's always on a hash. So you draw everything up, and you should practice this too. You guys should practice with the ball on the hash. Okay, move the ball around, because that's the leverage you're going to have in a game. So the ball's always going to be on a hash, typically, not in the middle of the field much. So make sure you get the ball over there. So now, what do? If this guy is really good, and he can get off a block, this guy can defeat a block pretty well. You can keep that safety back a little bit, and you're in pretty good shape in just a straight cover 2 zone. Okay? Now, if you think there's no way he can get off that block, here's something I could suggest you guys to do. And again, there's a little technique involved in it, but you can put your corner right there. Okay? Now, good luck bubbling against this. Okay? Make them do something else. If you're really worried about the bubble game, now you put him there, they're not going to be able to block him. That's a terrible angle for this receiver to block. So when I put him here, what am I doing? On the snap of the ball, I'm keying that receiver. Now, chances are they're not going to bubble the 2. Now, some teams might, but whatever the case may be, this corner is looking inside the 2 and 3. Okay? So if you put him here, okay, and this block isn't going to happen. It's going to be a legal block as long as you play it correctly. So what happens with us is we call this an anchor technique. So if this guy bubbles right away, he's coming right now. Right? He's basically blitzing the bubble, we call it. Kind of, right? You're pretty much taking it away. That's a really hard angle. Well, of course, if there's any offensive guys in here, so if all of a sudden they see me doing this, what are they going to do with him? They're going to take him and run him there. So if we anchor, we better get this guy out here a little further. Okay? So now we're getting him out further. If we get him out further, we pretty much have to bring him over here. Okay? So then again, you got to compensate for that. So what am I going to do? I'm going to, if I like this guy over here in a one-on-one matchup, we're okay. If I don't, I can put him back here, and I can slide him out. And now, depending on how far he is, because I'm so far inside, I can move him a little bit inside, and now I still got myself a decent run support team. So for you guys that play a lot of zone, and you're really worried about this bubble game, okay, especially in the 3x1, I think this is the easiest way for you guys to take care of it. Now it opens up some other things, but then again, if you're playing defense to stop one specific play, you're going to open something up. You know, that's just the way it is. So that would be something I would suggest you do. Again, that's going to get guys away from running the bubble if you don't want to play man-to-man defense. If you don't want to play man-to-man defense, you got to start doing a few different things, and again, which will open up a can of worms on some other stuff. But really what ends up happening here, guys, now I'm just in a 3 deep cover, right? A lot of you guys play cover 3. Okay, you're in cover 3 now. And again, we're just in a cover 3 zone. Our linebackers now over here is a flat. We would call this a sky situation, right? And we just call it sky on that side. That allows that backer to come out, and now he's a contained player. Okay, now again, everything, when you do stuff like this, you got to make sure that all this makes sense, okay? So if I'm going to sky support this back side, and I'm still looking and trying to be good against the run, that means now this end better be a squeeze or a pinch B-gap play, okay? Because now if the ball comes out here, this ball will come out here, he's squeezing it, they're running the zone play, obviously he'd be on this side if he's running zone, obviously, if I'm drawn up wrong. He should be here running the zone fake and looking that way. Okay, I had it drawn up in a 2x2. So he should be over there running the zone. But as you can tell, in terms of what we're doing in terms of the bubble game, that's a good way to do it. And we call this 3-roll with an anchor technique. I mean, it's really tough to bubble that sucker out of that, okay? But again, you're opening up a little bit of that. So that's one way to do it if you like zone defense, okay? So that, again, I would tell you, 2 different ways to handle the screenplay, whether it's bubble, whether it's rocket, whatever it is, okay? The easiest way to handle a screenplay is to press up your corners, and good luck getting angles to block the guys. And put your best corner at the side they want to bubble, right? Which is typically going to be to the field, okay, or again, away from the zone read fake, right? And then they're going to throw it out that way. Now, some teams are just going to catch it and throw it, and if that's the case, they can do it to both sides. But typically, when you guys are scouting, you probably know the guy they want the ball in their hands, right? I mean, I don't know how many teams you guys are playing that got 2 or 3 guys that they like to just throw it out there to. If you do, well, you know, you could be in some trouble because they're pretty good probably. But in any case, you're only going to be able to really cheat a little bit based on your personnel. I would suggest to do back to the anchor stuff, or you can press it up. Again, against the bubble, you take that guy and press him, the bubble's away. If you press a lot here, guys, now you're getting this. So, and that kind of tips their hand a little bit too, because if they like throwing it to the slot, and not every offense wants to switch their slots, their slot. They want to keep them there. They don't always flip-flop these guys, right? But again, now if you see them flip-flopping because you're pressing up your corner there, you probably know exactly what they're trying to do. And now you're going to get that action where they're going to kick out and block one, and then throw it back to him on the step-back screen or whatever you want to call it. Okay? So again, I still think easiest way, find your best player, put them where they want to throw it. And if you don't, now you got to decide how to leverage your backs. So if we go back here again, you know, now I'm taking guys out of the box, and now, you know, they're going to get some numbers on you on the zone play. Now, one thing I want to go back to, because I had a discussion earlier today with somebody, you know, with just individually, okay? When you're doing this, okay, in terms of runner pass keys and making sure you guys are good either way, make sure they mirror up to what you want to have done. And a lot of times what I mean by that is you got to decide who's going to be a B-gap run play. You just have to be able to do it. If you're going to use him as a B-gap run player, him as a B-gap run player, okay, that's fine, but just make sure you know who it is, okay, or are you going to squeeze your ends and have them be a B-gap player? If you put him out here, okay, easiest thing to do now is to make him the B-gap player, have that ball bounce outside, okay, and you can use him as well in terms of what you want to do. I'm not a big traditional cover 3 guy in terms of rolling down or spinning down to safety and playing the flat cover 3. You can do that, that's fine, but you're not going to get any better numbers by doing that. Okay, I think it's better off to anchor that corner. Play a hard corner to the field side, and then that way it's really tough for him to block, and he can still be your flat defender. Okay, now what we tell that corner a little bit on that anchor technique is to, again, read him. So he's reading him. If he gets a vertical release on him, now he's going to sink back out to the outside where he normally is, right? Because now he can still help you in pass coverage. So if he gets a vertical release here, he's going to sit here and then angle back and shuffle back outside. And again, this guy has to take care of the hole shot or whatever they want to call it. Again, just a hard 2 corner. The other thing you can do too, again, guys, if you don't really like this anchor situation, you don't think it's working real well, you can do the same thing and just press him up. And he's got help over the top right away, and so now he's pressed up, and maybe he works off a block in the press. Okay, so again, just a couple things you can do against the bubble screen and any other kind of screen play. Now again, I don't think, to tell you the truth, I got some clips up here, and we don't get screened much just because we're a man team. We'll come back to the tunnel here in a minute, because the tunnel's a completely different deal, in my opinion. The first few clips, we're just going to get, you know, the quick screens out here, whether it be bubble or rocket. Again, guys, you can tell we're pressed up here. This isn't a traditional bubble, but again, we don't get a lot of it. Here comes the rocket, okay? So again, he's pressed up. Now, what do we tell that corner? He's running his motor technique like we always do. He's motoring out of there, little 6-inch steps, staying even on his guy. His guy sticks his foot in the ground. He sees it. He recognizes it right away. And so here he comes. They try to block out at him. They can't get him. Okay? Real simple. Now again, when we do this, we also teach these guys, okay, that again, this is his guy. Now 3 could probably have done a little bit better job of redirecting and helping out, but you got to be ready for the rocket and then the go call here, right? He's going to fake it and then get his ass out of there and get upfield. So we don't want to press it too hard, but again, you got to recognize. Once he's engaged and his back is turned, we always say if you can see his numbers and he's engaged with that outside corner, then now you're free to come off of him. Because right now, there's not going to be any double move. So he should be sticking his foot in the ground and going. and now he's coming. Okay, now we're in an actual 3-4 defense here, right? And he was kind of our edge rusher, more of a defensive end, so I wasn't expecting him to get in the game much. But again, I told you guys from the get-go, what is that up front? That's a run read all day long, correct? This is counter action coming at us, and we're not slowing these guys down. I just heard Coach Ross talk about the kickoff coverage again. We don't slow down at all. If we read it, we go, okay? And in this case, because we're man-to-man, look at all these guys are playing hard run play, so they're out of there. They're playing run. It's up to these guys to take care of it. Now, in this case, they do release a little bit of the lineman a little bit late here and never really get out to it. But again, the best way to do it is this and get to it as we go. And I'll talk about releasing linemen here in a minute. Just kind of show you some of the stuff on here. Now here, we're actually in a zone defense here, guys. I know it doesn't look like zone, but we're actually in a zone. These guys are playing here. We're kind of playing man on the backside, zone up here. We're reading those two. He's playing outside with a little help to the field. And now they're actually, this is the one team we played all year that like to run trips into the boundary. But here they got trips into the boundary, and they're just throwing it out there, okay? It's just throwing it out there in an empty set. Now, why do we have an extra guy over here? Because this is the empty, okay? So when we go empty, he'd usually be here, but now we're just sliding him out there, okay? And now he's got him there. But again, 22 sees the play, diagnoses it. In our man-to-man defense, he's playing off now. We're here, he sees it, and now he gets there so fast that he's not able to block him. Now you're going to see a lot of clips here, guys, 12 or 13 clips on screen plays. When they ran it to his side, it didn't go anywhere. It just didn't, because he's better than what they can't block him. Okay, so again, I'm telling you, I think Coach Ross, you had mentioned before when you were coaching Stuttgart, you put your player out there and they couldn't screen you, right?
Our two corners were Jeff Carpenter and Rashid. They couldn't screen us.
So a lot of times it does come down to personnel, okay? But again, really good job. Teach those guys to fight hard and go. Again, you see number 3 here, as he's reading this guy and he goes inside right away. When I see his back right there, to me that triggers, I should be going full speed downhill. That's a trigger to me. I see his back, he's engaged in a block. I don't care what it is. It could be a rub route, it could be whatever the case may be. When we see this, we look to the other guy that's coming. And so now he should go and be, if he were to bounce back outside, he'd be in really good shape to take it too. Now again, on any screenplay, okay, whether it's this kind of whatever, these guys inside, okay, you guys see a lot of screenplays that break for big routes. What ends up happening is these guys lose leverage. Football is 100% about leverage. Whether it's leverage in defeating a block, leverage in blocking somebody, you have to leverage the football, especially defensively. You have to leverage the ball. So if the ball is outside of you, you're an inside-out player. Guy catches it out here. This guy should always be inside out, and that means the same thing on taking on a block. So if he comes in and blocks him, I want him like this, taking on that block, because then I'm inside out. I don't want to climb over the top and leave a lane to go up through here. These guys should always keep the ball on the shoulder that this guy catches it, meaning on their shoulder here. That's where he should keep it. And again, he doesn't do a good job doing that. He should not be over here. He should be underneath this. Number 50 didn't have a great game on that game, right, Coach? So that's the way to play that there. Okay, here's another one. They're going to throw it, and then now. So now this is a better play. Again, this is a good one to talk about leverage. So now they come out here. This is the kind of screens we get because we are a press team. They do a good job. We don't chase it as well as we should have. We're a little soft there. Now we got the window. He's got him blocked. He should really see this a little bit quicker, but now he's coming back to 50. So 50 sees it, and right now he's going to have to be able to close and make this play. So again, going back to your best player scenario, correct? So if this is your best linebacker and you're playing your secondary over here, you may want to put your best player to where they're going to run the screenplay. You probably got, a backer that you like, maybe you like both of them, but you probably have one that's a little bit better than the other or one that runs better than the other. So get him to the field in this case if you're worried about the screenplay. So now he can get there, keep leverage and make a tackle. Again, you know, have them running a screen when it's 2nd and 6 and getting 3 yards. They're not going to just give you a steady diet of 3-yard screen plays. Okay? If you can hold it 3 or 4 yards, you're probably not going to get a bunch of those. Again, all about leveraging the football and seeing it. Okay, again, number 3, I don't think 3 makes a good decision here. He gets this block here. He should have pressed it here. I'm staying inside out. He should be working upfield. We don't want to run flat. I told you that about everything we do. We want to work now and get upfield, more like 2-gapping something here like we just talked about on the kickoff. He shouldn't just easily pick a side because all he does is get in this guy's way. He should be working upfield to clean the lane for that guy. But good play by 50, getting out there. But if you want everybody, you want to stop the screen play, you got to make sure you get everybody involved. Okay, so here's a good look at the switch, correct? So now we get a switch. Now 21 is not the best, most physical player. Number 1's a pretty good player. Now you can see it. He comes. Look at that. There's no double move. Now if there was a double move, we tell him to stick hard on him now. Okay, they've switched. Once he gets blocked, that's his guy now. He's going to stay hard with him if he can't slip the block. Now he's got him. His eyes are good, and we're good. Looks like we're pretty good here getting some support. But again, number 1 makes the switch, and now he's able to make the play. Again, from a press alignment. Really, really tough, I think, to screen from a press position. And then again, we got to get everybody to the football. The play is not over. How many guys do we get hustling to the ball? Pretty good job. We got just about everybody over there on that screen play. Okay, again, we don't get a lot of bubble action because of what we do, so this is more of an arrow route, but it kind of gives you the same idea what I'm talking about. So they're going to bring a guy in motion, and here he comes, and they get the double. Basically, this is a rub route, arrow route, and now they're blocking. But let's see how we get to switch. I think I talked to a few of you guys in the break here about what do you do on rub routes? What do you do on the arrow routes? Right here, eyes go inside. He sees this. He's able to see the ball in the air, and he comes off of it. Again, it's 22. He's a really good player and makes a good open field tackle. But again, going back to the case in point, if I know that this guy, they like to run this stuff to the field, whether it's a true bubble or whether they're doing this, I want to take my best corner and put them over here. Because for the most part, they can kind of take care of the screenplay by themselves. And again, leverage the football. Again, number 1 and 3 don't do a great job here. They basically block themselves. See this? These 2 guys are basically getting blocked. So hope to God he makes this play. 3 should have seen this and been inside out of this. Instead, he's running over the top, and he shouldn't be doing that. But 22 takes care of the play. Okay, now we're in a straight cover 2 look, right? So we got 2 high safeties. We're pressing out. We usually, when we play cover 2, we usually press our corners. Again, these are 2 guys that are long. Get their hands on them. They're in pretty good shape. And then now, again, if you play a lot of this, now you're probably going to get more of a bubble look. Again, this is not a true bubble. Again, they go empty and just throw it out to this guy. But just to give you a look to it. Again, we don't get bubble hardly ever anymore because teams don't game plan for us to do it. Again, understand what your leverage is for these guys. I've talked about that too. If you're playing zone defense and you got a slot here and a slot there, find out what your leverage is going to be. What I mean by leverage is how you're going to split the difference between these guys. We always tell our guys in a straight cover 2 defense, I want to take away the first threat of number 2. It's the easiest way to get them lined up. And what I mean by first threat is the easiest throwing football, again, it's 3rd and 10 right here. Easiest throwing football is to run 10 yards and stop and turn around. Stick route, whatever you want to call it, right? So this guy could run 10, this guy could run 10, this guy could run 10, and you got a stick concept. And they just want to get the ball and throw it to the sticks. Don't let them do that. Okay? I don't care what defense you're running. Don't let them throw the ball right here on 3rd down especially. And even on 1st down, you should be dropping 8 to 10 yards. There's no reason to allow them to throw this easy route. It drives me crazy when you get them in. So these guys should be dropping to the stick route and then playing off of it. This is a 3rd and 10 situation, so we should be able to play and rally to the football. So now they're just going to throw it out there. Again, how do we know leverage? Now they don't do a good job. They didn't really block it, but this is, I'm showing you this because of leverage. Okay, this is what we're talking about. Coach Ross mentioned this too. He's outside the football. He's a contained player. He's inside out. we should be running and leveraging the football. What happens? The corner stops his feet, okay, and now he's not getting upfield to leverage the ball. Okay, so whether he was, let's just pretend that he got off this block. They ran the bubble, he got off the block, okay, and now he's coming. He has to force the ball to his teammate. Because his teammate's coming hard. Watch him. He's dropping to the first leverage, boom, now he's going. He's going hard downhill, hard downhill. He needs to leverage the football. But what happens is he lets him get outside, and now we got to rally to it. Now, I think they didn't get a first down on this, but they should have. So that's not a good football play. But again, that's what you should be doing. Make sure the ball is leveraged. If he contains that football, that's an easy play for us on a bubble play. Same one. Yeah, let's take a look at another bubble. Now they're going to run motion here. Again, they don't run it very well. This was not a very good football team. You're going to go ahead and basically this is just that. Now he doesn't even see him because he doesn't block him. Now the reason why I'm showing you this, guys, is again this is more of our 2 high shell team. Okay, so now we're in cover. We're actually playing cover 4, but it looks like cover 2 to us, and these guys are playing that. He's got him. He goes in motion. They're going to trade him off, and then his eyes will go to here. When we play cover 4, it's basically just like off man with these inside guys, press man on the outside. If they do decide to do something like this, we'll let him go and then climb and get depth in a true cover 4. And then now he's playing as a contained player and a flat player. He reads run, but now the bubble comes out, and then again he knows he's the contained player, makes a good tackle here, and we're able to come off and get it. So this goes back to my point is again, based on what they're going to do, you got these 2 guys over here, basically one guy getting it and another guy trying to get off a block. But if you leverage the football, you should be fine either way. Okay? Just make sure this guy, if he does happen to miss the tackle, okay, or he's getting blocked, he needs to squeeze from the outside in to allow this guy a nice angle to make the play. Again, we don't ever see any traditional bubbles, guys, so it's hard for me to show you those. Okay, now this time we actually do see a traditional bubble out of the bunch set, and they get us on this one. So watch what happens on this one. So now they're running bunch. He's going to catch it and basically bubble. This is their tight end, and they throw it to him. But look at the numbers. 2 here, and we got the safety 3, and he's got to be coming. Now, you know, we're not in great shape here, but it shouldn't go for 15 yards. Okay, but again, what do we need to do? We need to be aggressive and get here. My best corner in this case is over here because this is their best player. Again, I go back to who's their best player, who's your best player. This was their best receiver, so he was following him everywhere he wanted to go, and they knew that. So I don't think he caught the ball the whole game, right? And so they were going to isolate and just try to get it and throw it over here. Now our corner over on this side is a really good football player, but he's not a physical player, so we're not in great shape here. We're going to have to figure out what to do. But again, he gets cut. He gets off his feet. Number 3 doesn't get off his block. And luckily, we're able to trip him up. Okay? But again, if we're just more physical here, we're getting driven off the line of scrimmage. We shouldn't be doing that. We got to get underneath, play with leverage, squeeze that. What are we waiting for here? Okay? What are you waiting for? You got to be getting up here. What are you waiting for? You got to be down in here getting there, and he's got to go there. They get yards on us. Okay, so again, rockets and bubbles. It's all about if you want to get an extra guy over there, that's fine, but how are you going to fit the run game up with it? Figure out how to do that, and you'll be okay. Now, you guys get a lot of tunnel or jailbreak screens, right? So now you're getting a guy, I drew it up double. Most of the time when teams do it, especially against us, it's kind of a double screen. They're going to run the tailback out one way, and then they're going to run the jailbreak with the step back screen over here to the one side. Okay, now to me this should be actually easier to defend sometimes than just putting your best guy out there. But when they do this, the biggest thing for you guys to do, other than what I just talked about, work on getting off blocks, leveraging the football correctly, get a guy over there, anchor that corner, all those good things that you can do. In this case, you got to make sure that your defensive line is practiced against screens. Okay? If you just say, hey, we got to stop the screenplay, but you don't expect this tackle here to help you out when their center or their guard, based on who they're over, is just stepping back and then not blocking him, you know, that's not going to be good. Because if I'm a defensive tackle and my offensive lineman steps back like in a pass rush, again, I go back to making sure your base defense handles most of the plays you're going to play. In our base defense, if our tackle gets a pass set, he's bull rushing through the guard. He should not let that guard release. His base technique is to bull rush. It's not to swim. It's not to, you know, spin. I'm not using my tackle to get pass rush, basically. The way he's going to help me out is by bull rushing that guard back in to the pocket. Okay? So if he's bull rushing the guard and all of a sudden that guard steps back and tries to release, if he's worried about getting to the quarterback every time, he's not going to be ready for the screen. Correct? Typically, that guard should not be able to get out. Now, the guard will work to get out. Now, if he does get out, if I'm that tackle,